Hi, this is Trev from Marquee Insights, and today we're going to talk about parameters. So what are parameters? Parameters are a way in Power BI to store information you're going to refer to a couple of times across your data model. So these could be things like the URL to your SharePoint list. It could be the number that you're going to use to evaluate for a business rule. Or it could be a graphic file that you've encrypted in base64 and turned into a big text string that you're going to use over and over again. So parameters in and of themselves are very useful. And you can kind of think of them as sort of your global variable that you're going to refer to everywhere. Now, in the scenario I'm going to show you today, we have some service information that we've got contracts that basically say we have a certain service level agreement, and we have to get everything done within a certain number of days for duration. And we want to see if we have a violation, and if so, mark it and report on it accordingly. But I know that this number sometimes changes because, contracts get signed differently, or the new year we're getting better, that kind of thing. So we want to make sure that we do this in a way that is very easily and highly maintainable. So stay with me, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So now we're going to go to our transform data, so the Power Query editor, and we're going to go to manage parameters here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a new parameter. And here I'm going to call this, SLA issue. And what we're basically saying is, if we have a situation where there's a problem, we've gone past the number of days, then we need to flag it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a decimal number, and in this case I'm going to say anything over 3 days is a problem. And so what this will do then is allow us, now that I've got this parameter, I can go into my main data here. I can create a new conditional column and essentially say, we have an SLA issue present. Let me just put that, or let me do this, put space, there you go, SLA issue. And so I'm going to look at duration, and I'm going to say if it is greater than, and then here, you see this little drop down, there's a way you can select a parameter, which is pretty cool. Select SLA issue, and then if it's greater than, I'm going to say yes, and if else, then no. Like so. All right, so if I go over here, then I can see a mix of yeses and nos. Okay, so this is pretty cool. And so we go ahead and apply our change here. Now later, say we have business has gotten good, we've gotten more staff and whatnot. And what I'm going to do now, let's see, we're going to show you how this maps out. So I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to put this into a tree map. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to show it sort of as a thermometer, if you will, of the problems that we're having. So let's see, I'm going to have, I didn't really want duration. I wanted SLA issue, my group, and I'm going to overlay the value here with the count. That way I can see I've got no's and yeses here. And if I really wanted to see how many, I can do data label like that. You can see the difference here. And so this gives me an idea of how bad is it. Now, what happens if I come up here under transform data and click edit parameters? Well, I now have my one parameter. I can say 2, click OK. It'll say apply changes. Say yes, I would like to do that. And voila, we have dynamically changed now our business rule immediately. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to just create a table. And I don't need anything fancy here. I'm just going to call this DAX parameters, like so. I'm going to rename my column. It's going to call it ID. And I'm going to put a 1 in here. And the reason we're doing this is I need a value that I can look up, basically. And I just need one record. But I'm going to show you what happens when we take this into the Power Query editor. So realistically, we can't refer to parameters directly, Power Query parameters directly from DAX, but we can refer to columns in a table. And there is a way that you can transform a parameter value into a custom column. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to Add Column, and I'm going to go and do this the old school method, which is using the custom column version here. So I'm going to click that. And then here I'm going to say, you know what? I want SLA, God, I cannot spell today, issue, like so. Then down here, notice if you start typing that your parameter just shows up in the IntelliSense here, and I just hit Tab, and that's all I need to do here. And so if I click OK, what you will see then is that value show up right here. And of course I need to change my data type, so make that decimal. But now I can go ahead and use this in DAX, and let me show you that next. All right, so in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in my original table here, I've got the duration that we were looking at before, and I've got my flag saying I have an SLA issue, but what I really want to know is if I have an issue, how bad is it? And so, you know, what's the deviation from the SLA issue? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a custom table here, a custom column, sorry, and I'm going to go deviation equals, so do if, and we're going to look at table 1 and SLA issue equals yes, like so. Then I'm going to take, so what I have to do is do a lookup, basically like this, lookup value, and I want the result column name, the SLA issue, and we're searching on the ID field, and the search value is 1, like that. Okay, so I need to then, before this, put in my table, and then my duration, oops, there we go, like so, else 0, and close parenthesis. Okay, so now, that was kind of messy, but you get the idea. All right, so now what it does is it calculates this correctly. So if I go now, and again, I can edit my parameter here and go ahead and make that 1. Click OK, apply the change, and now not only have I updated my SLA issue in Power Query, but notice I have updated my my information here as well. So I've got now deviation 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0. All right, so one of the coolest things about parameters is that I can make these changes in PowerBI.com and basically update the model without actually having to open it up in Power BI Desktop. And you can implement business rule changes very quickly in this manner. So I'm in my workspace here in PowerBI.com, and I'm going to go to my model here. So we're going to click on the ellipsis menu where all the fun stuff is, and click Settings. And notice there's a parameters area here. So if I go to here, so I can change this back to 3, for example, click Apply, and then once it updates this, I can simply refresh the model, and that change will take effect everywhere. Pretty cool, huh?